Greetings and welcome to another Lessons with Odin. Today I'm going to show you how to use the knitted rope technique to make interesting looking bales for your fancy beaded pendants. Now if you already know how to do the knitted rope, this may seem kind of redundant, but it was just a little inspirational idea that you might be able to use for your own projects, so I hope you enjoy. This is another part in the Carnivore Pendant series. I will be showing you bits of it. I have the video up for this part already, the little decorated beaded bead, and I will be having the beaded spike variation later as well. So, without further ado, let's get started. You will need 4mm beads. I have Bicones here, and then you will also need 2 colors of seed beads. I've used size 15 Delicas and size 15 rounds. I kind of recommend using the size 11 beads for joints, but I've used 15s with a pretty reasonable success rate. And of course, a needle and thread. To start off, we're going to be stringing on one 4mm bead, one color A seed bead, and we're going to keep doing that until we have a length we desire. For this one, which was relatively narrow, but fits pretty snugly over my leather cord, I used 6 beads. But you might want something larger if you want something to flow a little bit more loosely, and to not have so much tension on the thread. Or if you want to have like something more rectangular shaped, you might want to add more, upwards of 8 to 10. But whatever you choose. Okay, so I have my set of 6 alternating beads here. What I'm now going to do is pass back through these beads so I end up with a loop. Just like that. Now I'm just going to tie a knot with the working thread and my tail. And after that, it is up to you what you wish to do with the tail. You aren't really going to be using it, so you can choose to get rid of it or keep it hanging around. Okay, so there is my set of 6. Now we're going to start the netting. What you're going to do is pass through one of your seed beads that's right next to the knot, so you can kind of hide the knot inside the seed bead, and you can get caught on a bunch of crap on your desk. Alright, so for this one, I'm using size 15 Delicas, so I didn't have to use as many. I'm going to be using 2 color B, 1 color A, and 2 color B. If you're using size 15 rounds and a size 11 seed bead in the center, what you might want to use instead is 3 color B, 1 color A, 3 color B instead. It's just Delicas are wider by nature, so I needed less. All up to you. Play with the amounts how you want and see what fits better for you. You don't want them too loose or too snug on top of your crystal. So after we had those threaded, all we're going to do is jump over the crystal and pass through the next seed bead on the round. And I'm going to repeat that once more. So I'm adding 2 color Bs, 1 color A, 2 color Bs, like that. Then I'm going to jump over the next crystal in my round and pass through the next seed bead. Like that. More, I'm going to add 2 color B, 1 color A, 2 color B, pull it down, then I'm going to pass through the next bead on the round Do that until all of your 4mm beads are covered. Okay, so now all of my 4mm beads are covered. This by itself would be kind of a little cute component as an earring, or some such, just kind of hang a little charm up here, but anyway. My thread has ended up in between, at a seed bead in between two 4mm beads after doing it. Now in order to do the next row, I have to step up to a corner bead that is on top of a 4mm bead. So all I'm going to do is pass up through the two color B seed beads and the color A seed bead, so that I end up out here. Don't forget to do this step, otherwise it will be confusing for you. Alright, now all we're going to do is add on one more 4mm bead, jump over all the way over to the next point. Basically, with the 4mm strung, we're going to skip over this bead and move all the way up to the point here in order to cinch everything together. Alright. So we end up with it wanting to sit in between two 4mm beads. Once more, I'm going to pick up one more 4mm bead. Jump all the way over to the next point. Right there. And one more time, pick up a 4mm bead. Jump all the way over to the next point. Keep doing that until all of the beads have been placed. And this is what we end up with. A lovely ring of 6 beads. We've got a zigzag going on in between the two rows of beads. Now you may want to reinforce this row to kind of make it tighter. All you gotta do is pass through each one of these crystal beads and seed beads here. Completely optional, but it'll make your life a little bit easier if you go through everything once more. Forcing, make sure your thread is coming out of a seed bead in between the two crystals. Now all we're going to do is just basically repeat what we did for the previous row. We're going to add on 2 color B seed beads, 1 color A, and 2 color B seed beads. That. Then we're going to jump all the way over the crystal through the next through the next color A seed bead. Just like that. Keep doing that until all the crystal beads are covered. Okay, now once everything is covered, we've got another star pattern formed here. We're going to have to step up again by passing up through 2 color B seed beads and 1 color A seed bead. Like that. Now, all we're going to do is once again add on 1 4mm bead, jump all the way over to the point of our piece, and pull tight. Do that until all of the gaps are filled. Okay, then you can reinforce it if you like. This is what we've ended up with so far. If you want to make this wider, all you gotta do is alternate between the seed bead rows and the 4mm rows until you have something as wide as you like. This one I've used 5 4mm beads. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across, and that's all I did for that one. You can even stop at the second row, which looked kind of cute with the zigzag in between a very narrow band, or just whatever you really feel like doing. Now, in order to anchor it to a point, what I have done in this case is basically attached them to 2 of the intersection beads over here, And I've anchored him using like a fringe technique or a peacoat technique. I will kind of demonstrate that. Okay, since I have two choices of orientation, I can either anchor it on a set of 2 beads or move up a little bit and do it with a set of 1. I'm going to pick the 2 beads because that's usually sturdier and whatnot. So I'm going to add a non-specific amount of beads until I feel comfortable with it. Then I'm going to attach my pendant piece. We will pretend that this 4mm contains all of my pendant, and this is just the best bead possible to attach it to. And then I'm going to add the same amount. I've added 4 here, so I'm going to add another 4 on the other side of the pendant anchor point. Then I'm going to pass my needle through the second bead on that row, going in the same direction. It's coming on this side of the seed bead. I'm also going to enter the same direction so that it ends up on the same side. So once I pull tight, I will end up with my pendant hanging down there. In order to reinforce it, all I'm going to do is pass up through all of those beads once more. And now I'm on the opposite side of that seed bead, so I'm going to pass through the opposite side of this seed bead when I get there. So I'm going to pass through all of these beads again. And pass through the opposite side of the other anchoring seed bead. Okay? Now, you may want to continue to reinforce this another 2 or 3 times, or use a heavier Fireline when you're at this step before you feel comfortable with how it hangs, because depending on how heavy this is, this has a lot of tension and pressure in it, so the more reinforcement you have, the better. The same thing with this one. I'm thinking I'm going to have to reinforce it again, or do another method of attaching it, because I'm not too thrilled with it. But that is what I have so far. You might even be able to do a little weave of peyote on the sides before you attach your pieces, either peyote or herringbone, something like that. Or just keep reinforcing so that everything is as strong as it can be. Once you are finished, all you're going to do is put some half-hitch knots in the area. So I'm going to take some thread that's on the work. I'm going to pass my needle under that thread until I form a loop, pass my needle through that loop, and pull tight. To form my knot. I'm going to move down a couple of beads and do the same thing. Put another half-hitch knot. Pass my needle under the threads in the work. Pull through until I form a loop. Pass my needle through that loop and pull tight. I'm going to pass through a few more beads and then I'm going to cut my thread short because I am done with this. Alright, and there you have it. A lovely little bale with a hypothetical pendant attached to it. Actually, turning it upside down and making this as a dangly bit point, this looks kind of cute. As a charm by itself. Or some sort. Anyway, that is this section of how to make a bale using the netted rope, part of the Carnivore series. Once again, I have the full pendant tutorial directions in PDF form on my Craftsy shop. If you are interested, I will have a link down below. Stay tuned for the next spike pendant coming up sometime in the near future. So yes, that is this episode of Lessons with Odin. I hope you enjoyed. If there is something that I need to be trying out right now, leave me a comment down below, and I will see you next time.